have become so numb that I can no longer cry. So heaven weeps for me. Victoria, your death is truly heartbreaking. The last thing I glimpsed was the yellow and white flowers on the hood, as if it were a wedding car, carrying a young bride to the church. After arriving at the crematorium, there was a 45-minute farewell ceremony. Everyone was seated in an orderly fashion, and she noticed that the person guiding the seating was actually the class leader from Victoria's school. What is a class leader? They are the older high-performing students who can mentor the younger ones, known as class leaders. These individuals are quite popular in school. I was horrified to discover that these class leaders were the very people Victoria had felt confused and inferior around. They were all high achievers, socially adept, and quite well-liked. The representatives from Victoria's school were simply detestable. This was a funeral, yet their eulogies sounded more like commendations at an award ceremony. However, there were still some true friends of Victoria's. I noticed a small group of less popular girls, some of whom wore glasses and looked very sad. I guess they were Victoria's genuine friends. Since we lived far apart, I hadn't had the chance to meet her circle, but neither this group of kids, nor the class leaders or teachers had come to greet us. The school had actually notified all the children and parents, instructing them not to communicate with us in order to protect the school's reputation. In reality, the school was afraid of parental unrest. I was both saddened and comforted to see a class leader in uniform crying uncontrollably in a corner, distressed. A few years ago, she had briefly been friends with little Victoria. This friendship had thrilled little Victoria because that girl was quite popular, outgoing, and very pretty. They would ride horses together. Innocent little Victoria did not understand the unpredictable nature of friendships among girls, thinking she had found a lifelong best friend. But that girl suddenly abandoned little Victoria for someone else, leaving her deeply hurt. Everyone knows that relationships between girls in school can be very dramatic, sometimes good, sometimes bad, and the fluctuations between good and bad can hit the psychologically vulnerable party very hard. Fortunately, Victoria's true friends came over at that moment. All I wanted was to embrace everyone together, but they acted very cautiously. Later, I learned that the school had advised them not to speak to me. I held back my tears, trying to leave some space beyond my sorrow to think about their feelings and what losing Victoria meant to them. There was a girl named Mary, who was Victoria's best friend. Mary and Victoria were very close friends. I had no idea. She invited us to her house a few nights later and mysteriously told me, "You can get a piece of the puzzle, but it won't give you all the answers." All I could do was nod, even though I didn't understand what she meant. She later went to Mary's house, which was in a high-end neighborhood in Singapore. After arriving at Mary's house, Mary said that Victoria used to love coming over, cooking, singing, playing in the gym, watching Frozen, and so on, all very happily. In reality, the author did not understand what this puzzle was, only knowing that Mary and Victoria had a good relationship. Malcolm told them, "We have to go." Mary had a sorrowful expression. I longed to give her a comforting hug, but I also wanted to push her away and scream, "Why are you the one still alive?" I took a deep breath, trying to understand that this quiet, humble girl was grieving for the loss of her friend, our daughter. Little Victoria would want me to comfort her. Before I left, I took a crystal from little Victoria's vanity. I kept it as a memento and gave it to her. We completely did not understand what Mary, the mother, meant by the piece of the puzzle at the funeral. Weeks later, we learned from the police that Mary could have saved little Victoria. The day before she jumped, on Sunday morning, little Victoria had tried to leap from the windowsill. On Sunday, little Victoria did not jump. Afterward, she sent a message to her good friend. Children do not share such messages with their parents. They see it as a secret between them, and you cannot blame Mary. She did not know whether little Victoria was serious or joking. because they often exchanged similar messages in the past. Unexpectedly, on Monday morning, little Victoria really jumped. After returning home, the author began to reflect constantly. I recalled last Sunday, the last day before this family was shattered. Knowing that Victoria had already attempted to end her life at that time, all memories seemed tainted. That morning, I made her a cup of coffee. She chattered away, looking very happy. Who would have thought that just hours earlier, she had stood at the top of the apartment building, wanting to end her life? Did she come home that day just pretending, having already resolved to die the next morning? Or had she been hesitating all day, searching for a signal to continue living? I think it was the former. She had set a deadline for her death, unable to attend another day of school. The entire Sunday was a final farewell. I revisited every memory I could recall, desperately pondering whether I had said something at any moment that could have changed her mind. On that Sunday, little Victoria went shopping and bought her mother a waffle. She knew her mother liked kaya-flavored waffles, so she specifically bought one for her.